What's up, guys? It's Rey-Jay back with another video. And in this one, I want to break down what's happening with NIO, Tsla, SPY, and the overall market in a very, very brief update. Just know that I am not a financial planner, so take nothing I say as financial advice. And also, if you guys can, please check out my Moomoo link. If you deposit $100, you're guaranteed 5 free stocks. If you deposit $1,000, you're guaranteed 15. And the offer ends very soon in just 5 days. Anyways, as far as NIO goes, just know that the 4 hours looking a little bit weaker right here as we're starting to lose the support. And there's this risk of us getting very close to that 4.4 area if we can't reclaim 4.78. Unfortunately, the market was very mixed, but NIO was weaker compared to it. We saw a lot of tech stocks in the red from Tesla, not to mention Nvda and a few more, whereas most of the market was quite flat despite that. I just want to call this out because it is going to be a very, very short trading week with a lot that's going on. Just know that for the week, especially if you look at earnings, we had Zoom announce earnings today. For tomorrow, we just have a couple of earnings like Kohl's, Best Buy, and a few more, not to mention Dell. But then the market's going to be closed completely on Thursday, and then Friday's only going to be half a day, so just keep that in mind. In terms of our economic data, just know that for tomorrow, it's going to be Tuesday, November 26th. At 9 o'clock a.m., we have very, very minor earnings coming out, just house price reports. At 10 a.m., we have the consumer confidence report alongside new home sales and the Richmond Fed manufacturing numbers. So look for some volatility at 10 a.m. Then at 2 p.m., we have the FOMC minutes. So look for some volatility to be coming at that time. So 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. are going to be very important times to be listening to what's going on. Besides that, the fear and greed index is currently at greed. That's making up the majority of sentiment right now. Momentum is at extreme greed, not to mention the put and call option ratio is also showing extreme greed as we're seeing this going down because a lot of puts are being closed and there's a lot of call buyers right now. And despite that, I also want to mention that as far as the news goes for NIO, there is some news that Goldman's analysts don't really see things getting that much better for NIO. They did get a bit of a downgrade, unfortunately. Their new $3.90 target for a 12-month basis is what they're saying. They do expect things to actually decrease a little bit, unfortunately, so they do have a different rating. This is because of the fact that when you look at their earnings, they weren't really that strong. It may take NIO a lot longer than what many people initially anticipated to get those margins up. So that's the reason why NIO is a little bit in the red. If you look at this, it got a downgrade. That's part of why the share price is down. Despite that, there is some news that came out that NIO opened about its 2700th power swap station in China. Just a few weeks ago, we saw about their 2500th, so they're opening lots and lots of these, and they're continuing to expand to improve the charging swapping technology. On top of this, we had about 53 million in volume, and there's not really much going on in terms of this. We did see their financials show a little bit of improvements, but just know that when it comes to relative to what expectations were, they weren't that strong. As far as NIO goes, the 4 hours looking more bearish. We need to reclaim 4.78 at the very least. Otherwise, I do see a risk of us coming down to at least 4.6 and 4.4 after that. So I think 4.4 could be coming for a small dip, and we'll see if we get a bounce or not off of that. And just know there is that risk of a little bit more downside. For other factors out there, SPY is trying to push a little bit higher. We're looking for this 600 target. Just know this, SPY is on a bit of an uptrend. It did dip a little bit today to fill this gap, coming down to 595 only to get bought back up. It may push temporarily to the upside, trying to retest that 600 area. And we'll see if we get a bounce or a break up, above that or not. So look for a little bit more upside tomorrow to retest this 600 area. The first time we hit this, we rejected. The second time we rejected, so we'll have to see if we break it or not. So watch a big test. If we hit this and reject, we could be on our way back down to where we were today on that 595 area. If it breaks 600, we're going to be looking for 602 as our next potential target, eventually back up towards all-time highs. We'll be watching to see if SPY can break past those resistance areas. I do anticipate a little bit more upside, so we'll give this some time to develop, and we'll see what happens after that. For ES, it also looks a little bit more bullish. I do anticipate it's going to be pushing for 6,020, so just keep that in mind. We'll see what kind of reaction we get. Nvda has a bearish divergence double top. It did dip down towards 135. We have to bounce off this and start pushing for 140. Otherwise, we're at risk of coming down to 132. Bitcoin, it's dipping right here. It has to reclaim 96,000. Otherwise, it's at risk of 92,000. Tesla is looking a little bit weaker right here as well. We're starting to fill this. We have this gap to fill down here. So that's what's a little bit more concerning to me. We need to hold basically the low of the day, this 332 area. If we don't hold that, we are at risk of coming down towards like 328. Not to mention this gap fill down here. If we do hold this, we could, we could try to rebound for 350. If we reclaim 343, we turn back up. Tesla's in the middle. We'll have to see which way it goes, but just know there's a little bit of weakness right now looking at the big red bar that formed. Typically, when you see big red bars like this, we do tend to get continuations lower. We kind of like rebound and continue. And if you look like right here, another example is right here, we got these big red bars and we continued lower, big red bars and we continued a little bit lower. And this tends to be very cyclical. Sometimes you do get big red bars, you follow through a little bit lower before you try to bounce. So that does not mean we have to just drop really hard. But there is that risk of Tesla dipping lower. Now, could this be a cup and handle? We'll have to see about that. But I do want to eye this gap here, and I do want to see we look a little weaker. We might be retesting the low at 334. If this does not hold, I think Tesla might be coming down to our 50 EMA. Just keep that in mind, guys. There is some weakness building on the chart temporarily. Aapl at 232 is doing a good job at holding up. If we break that, we're looking for these highs to be tested around 234. If 232 fails us, though, we're looking for 230. But I see potential in this to try to push it even higher. MSTR is looking a little bit weaker. We're going to be likely approaching, in my opinion, 376 to 380 in that range very soon if that fails us. For the IWM Russell 2000, we have a nice double top-like structure with the bearish divergence. We have this gap down here, but don't worry, we're actually doing a good job. If it breaks 245, we continue higher for 247.5. And we have this imbalance down here, which makes me think it might actually dip to at least 241. And we'll see if we get a bounce off the gap support at 241. If we lose 241, though, I do anticipate 239. So we'll have to see how things end up going. So give this some time. For coin, we're looking for 308. If that fails us, we're dipping back down for 293, excuse me. So we could be making higher lows here. We had a low here, we came up, made a higher low, came up. So we could dip a little bit lower before it tries to bounce. So give this some time to develop. Amazon looks more bullish. It could be looking for essentially 204. So I see some upside potential in that. If 567 breaks on Meta, we're looking for an attempt to get back up to 570 for a small push, but it's very much range bound. Microsoft will be retesting 420. We'll see if it rejects or not this time. I do expect a little bit more upside. And Google might also push for 171 for a little bit of a bounce. So Google looks more bullish to me. The market's very mixed, but it's looking like it's going to try to bounce again. So it might attempt to push higher. This small dip could just be a liquidity grab before they try to push this to new highs. Overall, the market's doing a good job, so I do anticipate that's going to pan out. As far as NIO goes, just know that we look very weak compared to the market, though, because of this downgrade we got from Goldman. So unfortunately, there is a risk of 4.4 if we don't hold 4.6. So please keep that in mind. Anyways, with that being said, I hope you guys have a great rest of your day. I'll be back tomorrow for another update. Until then, I just wish the best for everyone. Just remember to watch your levels very, very closely just to see how things are moving and do what's necessary for your own portfolios and your own accounts for your success. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a good rest of your day. NIO to the moon. I still believe in the long-term potential in this company. I believe that as they scale up, they need to really improve their margins. And as the economies begin to improve across the globe, things will get better for them. But there's a lot of hardships that NIO is going through right now, especially for their margins and their profitability. It may take even longer than what we initially expected to get that share price up. That's the cold, unfortunate truth, guys. I'm sorry to say that, but it is the truth. And just know the long term is still bright, but there could be some more really good buying opportunities for NIO. Thank you for listening, guys. Have a good day and peace out.